What's up, guys? It's Monty, and today I'm here to talk about American Royals by Catherine McGee. Now, as I mentioned this in my reading vlog for last week, so if you watched that, then you might have already caught the synopsis. And basically, this is a story that's told in four perspectives about a universe wherein, after the revolution, we did not become the democracy we know in our lifetime, but we became a monarchy. And I'm going to get into some of the cons of the book and how, like, if you wanted to nitpick things, we can have that conversation. Like, I'm fully prepared for that. But I just kind of wanted to start this off with everything that I liked about it. You know, the pros. So, like I said, it's for perspective. We have Beatrice, who is the person first in line for the throne. Her twin sister Samantha is also a perspective character. And then outside of the royal family, we have perspectives from Daphne, who is one of the nobles who used to date Samantha and Beatrice's brother, Jefferson. And Nina, who was a commoner that grew up with Samantha as sort of her best friend situation, because Nina's mother started out as a chamberlain and then she's now the minister of the treasury. So she's high up in the government. They have connections, you know. They've been able to forge that bond. All of the characters are pretty much adults. So Sam and Nina are both 18, Daphne is 17, and then Beatrice, our main character, is like 21, 22-ish. I think closer to 22 going into 23, but I don't really think we're ever given a specific age for Beatrice. Although Beatrice was my favorite. I think Beatrice is easily our Elizabeth analog in this, and Susan. And Samantha is our Margaret in this, sort of, if you want to compare it to like a British royal family situation. Obviously Jefferson doesn't really have one because, you know, it just doesn't work out that way. Also, I felt that we were kind of hindered by the fact that Jefferson didn't have any kind of perspective chapters. We just had four ladies. And I don't say that to, like, detract from them, but two of our perspective chapters, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious which two, because it'd be the two not related to him. Like, he's sort of a love interest, and so, like, we only ever get to experience Jefferson through the eyes of each love interest, and then sometimes, occasionally, through Samantha. And Beatrice has, like, next to no interactions with Jefferson at all, except she does bring him up a couple of times, because apparently in this world, the American public would much rather have Jefferson be their next king than have Beatrice be America's first ever queen. Like, that's sort of the premise of the book, is that Beatrice is first in line and she's going to be our first queen. And I kind of it was a lot of side-eyeing that. I mean, in some respects, you know, America is still a relatively new country. It's still only 250-ish years old. I mean, it's a little bit older than that, but you know what I mean. So their monarchy is a lot, you know, younger than, you know, the British monarchy, for example. So, but even then, I feel like if you're living in America in this reality, you would have seen Britain have a queen, Russia's had some queens. Like, there are no real democracies in this book, which I thought was a little bit weird, but again, whatever. So you would think that at this point the American public would be, like, over it. So, like, I thought that part was a little bit contrived. It was like, you want to have this modern setting, but you also want to have this, like, struggle of, she's going to be our first queen. I also think the book is slightly predictable, and by slightly predictable, there are two things that I call that were going to happen at the end of this book that I think are pretty, like, standard for, like, a royal narrative. I thought a lot of the tropes and everything were predictable. I thought that the archetypal characters of Beatrice and Samantha and Nina and Daphne were all kind of typical. I mean, let me shout this out. Nina is Latinx, I want to say. I read her as Latinx. It was never really specified, but her mother is a Latinx character who is on the page like, I'm a Latinx woman and I've had these struggles. It's sort of at the third act that gets brought up. Her mother is Latinx, and her other mother is, I believe, white, and it's never really, they don't really discuss who did what. If it was in there, it was lost on me, but I read Nina as a Latinx character, so the book did have that going for it. There is also an Asian character in the book, but that character is comatose for like 99.9% of the book. So there is no diversity in this. Sorry. I mean, there are other characters that are mentioned. Like, they do mention some Asian characters and some Native American characters and the Native American Dukedom Establishment Act of some year. And I was like, okay, this is all well and great, but they don't play into the book. And it also kind of bothered me as like, okay, so if you created these Native American dukedoms, like, does that mean in this society we also have some reparations for formerly enslaved individuals and their descendants? Like, I thought the book wanted to have these moments to like kind of clean up the history and the implications of having a royal family, and I almost wish that it wouldn't have, because when I went into the book, I was very against the idea of a George Washington king. I was very against the idea of a monarchy in America, and I was very against the complete change to world history. It felt like a lot for a contemporary sort of romancy book to take on. And the book decided not to take on any of those things and to just focus on the contemporary elements of it and to focus on this sort of tropey elements that you would expect from a royalty set contemporary romance. And it excelled at all of those things. And I was like, I can't sit here and fault you for not taking on those things, because I don't think that it did anything egregiously terrible. Like, it was a fun contemporary romance, and I loved all four perspectives. Daphne is a racist, though. I will say that. Daphne is an antagonistic person to two minority people, to Nina and to the unnamed, the girl, the unperspectivized Asian character. Like, her whole existence is to, like, torment those two people. I mean, to be fair, she is the Asian girl's friend, but, like, when you read what happens, like, bitch, racist. So, in, like, that regard, like, fine. And do I wish that we could have delved into some geopolitical relations? Maybe. I don't know if Catherine McGee has the range for that. Like, I don't know. I can tell that's not the book that she wanted to write. All of the history alterations, all of that things were very surface level, and I didn't mind that they were that way. It didn't ever feel to me as though it was, like, it never felt like we were avoiding it. It kind of felt like that wasn't the scope of the story, and I wasn't mad that we weren't pushing past that scope. Now, I do think that the ending of this book, because this is going to be at least a duology, which I'm here for. I don't have any connections at Random House, but I wish I did at this moment, because I want to be on whatever list I need to be on to get the arc for the second one, because this left me in a bad spot and I need some answers. But I think that the ending of this book sets up for the next book to kind of tackle those issues. It puts us in a better position for that to be the focus, and I think that this was really a largely a setup book. And I don't want to say that because this is not a small book. This book is over 400 pages. This edition is 440 pages, including the acknowledgments, so without them, it's 37. So 437. This is by no means a small book, and I don't want to be like, oh, you're reading 437 pages of setup for something that could be better. No, like, this is, yes, it's setup, but everything in this is great. Like, it's a quality read. If you are looking for a quality teen drama, this is, like I said, I gave the ages earlier, I do think this reads slightly more new adult. I think it does have that crossover appeal to an adult market. But if you're looking for, like, a really quality young adult drama situation where it's kind of like a messy soap opera, this is the book. And I think that because that's what that book set out to do, and it does it well, I'm happy with it. Like, I wasn't expecting it to rock my world in a positive way. I was kind of expecting to have to sit down, like I'm doing now, and just have 300 million negative things about the book. Now, I guess we could have a discussion about the things that it doesn't do. Like, we don't have a discussion about how it makes no sense to have a revolution to overthrow royalty and then instill immediately a royal family. I think that logic is kind of flawed, and I don't think that it makes a lot of sense. It also, I think, continues, like, I don't know, like, the founding of America, like, as we know it today with the Constitution and things, was a very drawn-out process, you know? We didn't just jump straight to the Constitution. So in a world where we go from King George III of Britain to King George, do we then bypass the Articles of Confederation? What happens? Is there still a civil war? How was the country set up? Because there's a part in the book where we talk about the Texas is some kind, like, there are no states in this book, there are dukedoms. And apparently there's one in Texas, and I was like, but in this world where everyone is still, like, royalty, like, does that mean that when Texas seceded from Mexico and it was an independent country, what was the benefit of them becoming part of the royal situation with America? Like, that doesn't, why would they choose to do that? The West Coast is also part of this royal situation, and I'm just like, again, like, if that was part of, like, what, like, at what point, again, like, none of that sort of things were explained. So, like, there were things like that, and again, I don't understand how you have a world where Russia doesn't become a communist state. I don't know how that happens. I don't know what that means for Germany. Does that mean that there's no Hitler in this world? Like, again, like, there were things that aren't really explained, but they aren't the scope of the story, and so again, I didn't have complaints about them. So I think I've really said everything I could possibly say about this. I'll leave a link down below in the description to my Goodreads review in case you want to read that. That might be a little bit more succinct. I wrote that like an hour or two after I finished reading this, so it contains things that might be more specific and less generalized. But on the whole, I do still wholeheartedly recommend American Royals. I think that if it's not already on your Contemporary-a-thon TBR, it might still be enough time for you to get it into your library. This book doesn't really have a lot of buzz, and I think that's also something that is a little sad. I think that this is one of the better releases of 2019. I have not read Catherine McGee's other works. I think they're a fantasy trilogy. I don't know, I have no interest in reading them. But this is, like, really good, and I don't really see a lot of people talking about it. And again, on Goodreads, I am in the minority. I think most people are giving this 2 stars, maybe even 1 star. So go into this with some caution, but I did really enjoy it. Like I said, and I'm going to keep saying, if you're looking for something deep and meaningful and impactful, this isn't it. This is very much a light, fun romp, and I like it. I like it a whole ton. I'm eagerly anticipating the sequel. I think it's really great. This is definitely going to be on my end of the year list somewhere in that ranking. I don't know where I'm going to rank it, but it's definitely going to be on that list. Thanks for watching. If you have read American Royals, let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. If you haven't read it, was it on your radar? Did I introduce something to you? Let me know that too. I'll see you guys again next week with another video, but until then, bye.